Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Leveraging AI and Bots, sponsored by VeilSun. I'm Erica Porter and I will be your moderator. We have a couple of housekeeping announcements before we get going. We will be holding a Q&A session at the end of our presentation. You can ask questions at any time via the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, and we will address those questions at the end of the session. So make sure to get some good ones lined up, and we'll be excited to talk to you about those. The other thing is you'll be receiving an email after the presentation with a link to the on-demand replay. So watch for that. Now let's go ahead and move on to the presentation, Leveraging AI and Bots. Today we have James Cosman, Chief Solutions Architect and Managing Partner here at VeilSun, as well as Ty Shoemake, our CTO from VeilSun. Welcome, James. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, or late morning, wherever you are. And thanks for joining us. We're really excited about AI and bots and the value that it can bring to QuickBase. So we're just really happy that you can join us and let us share a little bit about that with you. So we're gonna take, just to set an agenda, we're gonna do 3 quick slides to just tell you a little bit about us and what we do. We won't spend too much time on that. And then we really want to dig into, in the QuickBase world, how we feel like the use of bots are really changing the way that people are accessing and leveraging QuickBase in their businesses. And we'll get into a little bit of some real life use cases for both bots and artificial intelligence. So we'll actually show you some bots in action, so you know what they look like, they feel like, and how they work. And then we'll wrap up with some key takeaways and some Q&A. So a few things that you'll discover in this webinar is we really think about bots as a new lightweight user interface that can be relatively inexpensive, that can be plopped on front of QuickBase, especially for mobile users. So we're going to walk you through how that works and see how you can use it more widely, especially if you have a mobile workforce, and how this can make their user experience easier. And then how you can add value to your QuickBase by both bots and AI, because both are top of mind. So a little bit about us. We are VeilSun. We're a top QSP, which is a QuickBase solution provider, meaning that we provide services, integration support, ongoing development support, currently with more than 400 clients. And we've been doing this for a long time. We've done about 950 QuickBase apps deployed to date. We really traditionally have worked across a lot of different industries, but our top 5 today are really construction. We do a lot into construction, telecom, healthcare, financial services, and manufacturing. But we've pretty much worked in most industries. We're based out of Denver. We also have an office in Houston, Salt Lake City, Virginia, and Tampa. And we feel very proud that in 2018, we're Partner of the Year. This year, we're People's Choice Award, which basically comes from top net promoter scores or customer satisfaction surveys. So we're really focused on clients and making sure that they're getting what they need. Today, we're going to talk specifically about our VeilBot QuickBase plugins. But as a solution provider, we also have a host of other plugins that you will undoubtedly over time see similar webinars as we're doing today. Our most popular add-ons are our scheduling drag and drop interface for QuickBase and our Gantt interface. And also for those of you that maybe want to use QuickBase in different languages, QTranslate is another popular plugin. So we have a whole cadre of things and also do a lot of integrations with a bunch of different systems. And we've worked with all sizes of business, from big and small. This is what we call our NASCAR slide. These are some of our larger clients, but we have really worked also in mid-market and with very, very small businesses at the same time. So we've been all over the board. So with that, let's go ahead and a bit about us. Let's dig right into bots. So first of all, bots. What are they? You hear this. You probably hear the term all the time. I personally hear my kid when he's playing Fortnite screaming about bots in his game. And you hear about them all the time, about Russian bots and Facebook and stuff like that. So all of those are examples of bots, but let's talk about how they're useful in a QuickBase world and how they can and how they can be used for business efficiency. So bot is really a lightweight user interface that has a different interaction with a user than just going into an application. It's all about creating a conversational back and forth user experience. Everybody is used to, not everybody's used to every piece of software, but everybody knows how to text. Even people who are not tech savvy at all know how to text back and forth. So it's riding along with that philosophy that you can get people to use technology that they may not have used otherwise, because they're already doing something familiar to this, which in text. So a bot can, we say, ride on, but it could use Facebook Messenger as the front end. It could use Sims, text messaging back and forth as the front end. And it could use any other, and a lot of other pieces of media. We actually use a bot engine when we deploy our bots that you'll see today that has a real kind of chat flow to it. They don't require any sort of applications to be loaded on a phone or a computer. You'll learn that this is a huge value, as if you have a mobile workforce out there, you can do workflows like you schedule somebody to something in QuickBase. It sends them a text with a link, and they open it up, and there's their work order right there, and it's telling them exactly what they need to do to fill their work order. And the specific technology that we use is very similar to QuickBase. It's a low-code type of platform, so they can be deployed very quickly. And they're really straightforward to connect to and from QuickBase. So as Ty put here, they are all the rage in 2019. Bots, most organizations in one way, shape, or form are already leveraging bots, either in IT or marketing, but there's also a big push in field services to deploy bots. So how does this really change the QuickBase game? So traditionally in QuickBase, as many of you know if you're on this call, most users access QuickBase via the desktop. And there is a mobile client for QuickBase. It's pretty decent, but it doesn't really drive you through a workflow. So where we think the real opportunity is for QuickBase is to get people in the door that maybe would not adopt QuickBase because you're having to use an application, you're having to navigate to things, and instead get people that are used to texting out there and interacting with your QuickBase, but in a texting sort of back and forth sort of way where it really walks them through the process that you want them to do. So if you design a bot right, you really need very, very limited training, if any training at all. And they can be deployed with QuickBase, maybe where in a lot of different ways. So we'll tell you a little bit of a story about this before we get into the brass tacks and show you some bots. So this is a very common story, but this one is particularly with a company called Tiki Trucking, which really they had a very paper-driven system. They will send trucks out into the field, deploy them in the field to go and pick up dirt and to move them around different construction sites. So you may be dropping a load at construction site A or picking up one at B and taking it to C. And a lot of these truck drivers are contractors, right? They contract these drivers. So they don't have the opportunity to go out and to know where they are or to communicate with these drivers. They don't have the opportunity to put GPS tracking in all of their trucks or even force them to download a mobile app. But what they could get them to do is get on board with the idea of a chatbot, where as soon as a trucker is scheduled, sends them a link, it opens up the order for them, it walks them through different options of what they can do. They could pick up they can check in at a site, they could clock out at a site, they can say that they're en route to another site. With a good amount of adoption of this. So it got past the technology learning curve for this company. So here is my final slide. If we haven't hit this home enough before we show you the magic, we really, to sum it all up, we think the bots really solve two problems for organizations. One is the whole idea of adoption. So you can deploy, like I said, a bot and have very little training that you have to give your users. They don't need to learn how to use QuickBase. They don't need to learn to navigate to this screen and that screen to get something done. They just need to click on a link and it step-by-step walks them through what they need to do. And then gets that information back to you in QuickBase in real time, so you can have the data that you need to do the more robust things that you do in your businesses on a day-to-day. So we say that it can easily front-end QuickBase completely. So you could have users that are technically QuickBase users accessing data from QuickBase, communicating with QuickBase, but they never have to actually go to QuickBase. They could just be texting back and forth with QuickBase, or they can have a special front end that they are just doing chat, like people are used to on Slack, going back and forth, answering questions. So with that, I think that's my last slide. Ty, don't make me a liar. Yes, we have some live examples now. So I'm going to turn it over to Ty Shoemake. He's our CTO and is really our bot expert. And he's going to walk you through some actual live examples that span the gamut of what people are doing with bots in QuickBase.
Hey, thanks, James. Anybody that knows me knows how excited I am about AI and bots. But I promised the guys today that I'd try to curb my enthusiasm just a little bit so that the presentation is a bit more bearable. So let's look at some live examples. Let's look at the first one that I'm pretty proud of. It's something we call VQB. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to be able to integrate a bot with QuickBase itself. In other words, we had organizations that wanted to use a QuickBase bot within QuickBase, within the interface, to help walk their users through things that they had to do in QuickBase, basic QuickBase use and use cases and workflows, and just to really integrate that information about a particular process within QuickBase right there in the front end, right where people could really benefit from it. Didn't have anything like that, so we built that, and I'm proud to show you guys today what we call VQB. I would hit the demo link. We're going to pull up a QuickBase application. That's a typical QuickBase application. You can see the pretty purple header that we've got, and our table bar and our application bar. But what you don't typically see is down here in the lower right-hand corner, and that's our helper bot. This bot shows up on every page in QuickBase. So when your user goes into QuickBase and they log in and they go to whatever page they're on, this bot can show up, and this bot can help them do what they want to be able to do in QuickBase, whether it's something that has to do with the QuickBase interface or it's something that has to do with your business process. It's a great way to explain your business process very cleanly, very lightly, and very intuitively right within the QuickBase user interface. Let's see what that takes a look, what that looks like. So we're in HR Actions, and I'm going to click my little bot here, and it's going to open up and say, "Hi, I'm the VQB from QuickBase and VeilSun. How can I help?" And what you see here is you can see a number of actions that are workflow or process related. Don't have anything to do with QuickBase, but they actually have to do with the business process. So we can click those and see the types of things that we can bring up and provide to the user during their user experience. So the first thing I'll do is I'll pull up an interview tips video that specifically deals with our HR actions. That's a great example of showing a video that has to do with that particular business process or that workflow right within the QuickBase interface. Next, we'll go to something that has to do with another action that we have within our QuickBase interface. So there could be many different kinds, many different types of topics within an interface. We could talk about many things that have to do with the interface or many things that have to do with the work process. And we can do it in many ways. We can show a video, we can show a PDF, which you can see here, that overlays right on top of the interface and is very, very convenient, especially when you're trying to deliver very complex information or very detailed information. It's just a really lightweight way to do this, and it's very, very maintainable too, because if you can build a PDF file using Word, you can integrate it within your help process within your bot for your work process or your workflow. Very easy way to provide context sensitive and live help within QuickBase. So you can see it on forms, you can see it in the main interface, you can see it on dashboards. No matter where you are within QuickBase, it's right there for you. So next, what we'll do is we'll talk about TapTech. So TapTech has a mobile workforce. These are folks that go for, they work for an actual brewery, or actually they're a distributor of beer and wine in the Northeast. And these folks go to their customers on a routine basis once a month or twice a month. And what they do is they service their beer taps. They'll go to restaurants and bars, and they'll come in and they'll analyze their beer taps. They'll clean their beer taps. They'll adjust the beer taps. They'll test the beer taps, just so that the quality of the beer that's poured is high quality. We've got the right temperature. Everything's clean. Everything's adjusted. Everything works right. All the parts are in good working condition, etc. What the company wanted to be able to do is they wanted to be able to track the experience more than they were able to by just dispatching their trucks. They wanted to be able to have their tap techs actually log in when they arrive at a restaurant and take pictures of the installation and gain feedback from the customer, who is the bar owner or the manager, when their tap tech service was complete, so that we had good customer satisfaction. They wanted to be able to quantify the experience. So what we built was what we call TapTech. So what TapTech is a bot. It runs on a phone, as James alluded. It's not an application on a phone. It's simply a link that you click on in the phone. We typically in the morning would text that link to the TapTech. They would click that link and it would bring up this particular bot within their phone. Now, the interesting thing about this is that this is not just a bot. This is a bot that connects with QuickBase. So in the back end, QuickBase is running everything that is presented within this bot. Every time the user asks this bot to do something, it's going back to QuickBase. It's asking QuickBase a question or logging information in QuickBase. So we've got a real dynamic conversation here going between this very lightweight front end, which is a bot, and QuickBase. Let's see what that looks like. So it's early in the morning, and I'm a tap tech, and I'm getting in my truck, so it's time for me to clock in. I think I'll go ahead and clock in. I've clocked in, okay. So now I can begin or in my service stops, or I can look at all my stops for the day. So let's take a look at all my stops for the day. Looks like I've got about 4. I go to Finn's, then the Quarry Tap Room, Raleigh's, and then the Oxford Casino. Okay. So I'll click on the first one, which is fins. And what I want to do is I want to say, okay, I'm going to begin a service. And what it's going to do is my bot's going to give me a lot of really good information about this. And the first is the location of the actual place that I'm heading. I may or may not be used to this route. I may be new. This may be a new business, but I've got right in my phone now exactly where that business is and where I need to go to perform my tap service. It gives me a reminder here telling me that the fobs require cleaning because the fob requires cleaning every third tap service. And what I can do is I can begin the service. I can end the service after I've done everything I need to do and taken care of all the things that need to be done and cleaned everything and adjusted everything, and of course probably had a beer just to make sure that everything's good to go. What I need to do now is I need to tell my bot how many lines were there. Well, there's supposed to be 12 and I counted 12. Okay, so that's good to go. We know we have 12 taps. If there were fewer taps or there were more taps, we'd have to ask what's going on and then figure out what's going on. So a PSB is another piece of equipment. Let's say that there's 6 of those. And now what it's going to ask me is, my bot's going to say, okay, there were 12 lines. How many lines did you clean? We're making sure that our quality is up to snuff here. We're making sure that our service techs are doing what they're supposed to do. So I'm going to say 12 because I'm a good service tech. I can add some additional service notes. If I noted a piece of equipment that was just about out of tolerance or wearing out or broken, I could say that here. I could note that here in my bot, and my bot would write that back to QuickBase, and then people back at QuickBase at dispatch could then send that to the service department, and the service department could send me out next time with that piece of equipment or that repair part that I need. So I'm going to say there's not any service notes. Everything's good to go. So I can take a photograph of the tap installation. Now this is kind of where we verify that everything's good to go, and we actually did arrive on site, and we actually did what we were supposed to do. So I'm just going to grab any old picture here. I'll grab a picture of a cat over. I'm going to send it to my bot. The bot's going to save that in QuickBase, and now the bot is telling me, give the phone to the customer. So I'm going to hand my phone to the customer, and it's going to ask the customer, what rating would you give this draft service? He did a pretty good job. I'm going to give him a 5. And this is my email. So what's going to happen now is my bot is going to send all this information back to QuickBase, and QuickBase is going to send me as a customer a receipt for this service, showing how I rated the service, when the tap tech showed up, what he did when he was there, what time he left, and a picture of my actual installation. It's going to really close the loop with my customer. And this is all I had to do. Ty Shoemaker is a customer. We're all done. Now I hand this phone back to the tap tech, and he goes to his next stop, which would now be the quarry tap room. That's just how simple that user experience, how lightweight that user experience is, and how easy it is to interact with QuickBase without even knowing QuickBase, without seeing QuickBase, without logging into QuickBase as a field user. Extremely lightweight, effective user interface. Very, very popular with field folks. So let's go to our next one. And James alluded to this a bit, our dump truck driver situation. So basically what we have is we have a contract truck driver force. They're dispatched by a central dispatch, and as James said, they'll be dispatched to a pickup location, and then they'll go from the pickup location to a dump location, which is pretty normal. But what makes this an ideal fit for a bot situation is these drivers come and they go. In other words, a driver can come in and they can work for a week and they'll be gone for 2 weeks and come back and work for 6 months, or they can come back and work for 6 days. The point is, we need a very lightweight induction experience for those folks. In other words, yeah, I'm going to drive for this company today. So the company texts them a link to the bot, they open the bot up, and now they are completely outfitted and ready to go as a trucking driver for that company. They can do everything they need on that bot. They know where to go. Dispatch can contact them. They can talk to them. We know what their phone number is. We know what their email is. They can enroll using the bot. They can do everything they need to do to become a licensed bona fide trucker for that company real time. We don't have to go through paperwork. We don't have to go through loading applications. It's a very, very lightweight experience, and it's very, very quick. So let's take a look at that, see what that looks like. So this is our Vail Sun quick base driver demo bot. First thing we've got to do is we've got to hit continue to say that we accept the Vail Sun terms of service and the company haulage safety rules. We've got to apply those safety rules. So next, the very first thing I do in the morning is I need to look at my first dump ticket. In other words, I've got to see where I've got to go, what I've got to pick up. So we'll take a look at that dump ticket and we'll see what the bot can provide us there. And there's a lot of really good information here. So to begin with, we can see our dump location. What that means is this is our location on our map that we have got to dump that material. That's good, but what's really, really important is something called an approach template. How does that truck get from the main highway, which is here, and here, to the actual dump site? Because you don't want these heavy trucks on soft asphalt. You don't want these heavy trucks on dirt roads that could be soft. You don't want them running over culverts. You don't want them running over sidewalks. So what you always do is you create an approach template that is specific to a dump site so that the trucks stay within a defined path in and out of the job site so they don't mess anything up. So we can look at our pickup material, our dump material, and we can say, okay, yeah, this looks like a pretty good haul. I'll go ahead and accept this. So I'll accept that haul. And now that haul's been assigned to me. I'll go ahead and clock in and say, okay, I'm ready to go. So I'm in business. I've been clocked in. I can review my dump ticket if I forget where I'm going or where I'm supposed to pick up or dump. I can go on a fuel, meal, or maintenance break. What that does is that tells dispatch that I'm sort of out of the loop right now, and they shouldn't assign me an actual haul or anything like that at this point. So hit a dead end here. Give me just a second. Let me pop back into it. There are a lot of other things we can do. We can get emergency notifications. And where this is really good and very, very valuable, especially in the Northeast, is when our trucking companies are hauling, they're hauling usually year round, which means they're hauling in the wintertime. And a lot of times ice storms happen and ice, roads ice over, they have snow, really heavy snow accumulations. They have flooding. So it's really good to be able for dispatch to be able to reach out to everybody who's hauling that day and say something like, avoid I-90 between exit 16 and exit 19 because there's glare ice on the road. And it's very, very simple for dispatch to do that by clicking a button, typing a message, and sending it to every single bot out there instead of having to call every single trucker on their cell phone and explain to every single one what's going on. And I as a trucker can look at my messages from dispatch. I can see what they've sent, et cetera, et cetera. Again, just a really lightweight, crisp user experience. These folks don't like technology, many of them. They love to text. They don't even have to know this is QuickBase, but they're interacting with QuickBase. Everything they do, They're clocking into QuickBase, they're clocking out of QuickBase, they're getting their dump tickets from QuickBase, they're going on fuel, meal, and maintenance breaks in QuickBase. It's all happening in the background, and this is taking all the complexity and shielding that driver in that cab of that truck from all that complexity and using QuickBase. Just a great way to keep people who never would be in QuickBase, make them fans of QuickBase. So I'll pop out of that one and go to my next. So this is my favorite. This is where we sort of meld chatbots and AI and QuickBase together. What we've done here is, let me sort of give you the real business use case. We modeled this after a situation where you've got a telecommunications firm who has cell towers, and you have cell tower technicians who climb these towers, of course, and they work on those radios at the very, very tippy top of these towers. And when they're up there, all they really have with them is their tool bag and their cell phone. And if they need to know something about a particular piece of equipment, we wanted to make it really simple for them to understand and identify that piece of equipment, and then be able to understand how to maintain it, how to install it, how to deinstall it, how to test it, how to clean it, how to service it, all by simply taking a picture of that piece of equipment, sending it back to our AI, and the AI coming back and telling us what that piece of equipment is. So basically, I, as a technician, as a tower tech, can be at 140 feet in the air, take a picture with my phone of a piece of equipment, and have my phone tell me everything about that piece of equipment I need to know as a tower tech to be able to service it, install it, deinstall it. So let's see what that looks like. What I'm going to show you here is a little different. It's a situation where we identify just normal everyday items, because what we wanted to do is give you access to it and let you, with your phone, get that bot and open that bot up and actually do it at home and see what it's like. So this is exactly what you're going to see, but you can see how the same thing would work for a tower technician up at height in a tower. So again, our lightweight user interface, everything that's going on here is also going on back in QuickBase. QuickBase is talking constantly to our bot. Our bot is talking constantly back to QuickBase. Just great. So now we're going to explore, and we're going to identify stuff. So this is what you'll do at home or in the office. We'll identify something. So I'm going to select a file, which is a picture of just something that I took off the internet. And I'm going to, when I hit the green button, it's going to send that picture to QuickBase. When it does that, QuickBase is going to trigger a webhook that's going to send that out to a Google Visual AI. That Visual AI is going to look at this picture and say, I know what that is. And it's going to send that information back to QuickBase, and QuickBase is going to send it back to our phone here through our chatbot. Let's see what that looks like. All right, we sent it. Let's see how long it takes, and let's see how good our Visual AI is. Okay, it's not a kumquat. It is a tortoise though. So our Visual AI was able to identify that picture by having it sent to QuickBase, sent from QuickBase to our Visual AI, from our Visual AI back to QuickBase, and from QuickBase back to our chatbot. On our phone, when we're in our car, when we're in a stadium, when we're at a restaurant, when we're in a retail store, in a hardware store, any kind of a use case, we're able to identify images and get information from those images. Okay, it's not the Space Beetle, it is a moose. So we were able to identify a moose. Every now and then, with AI being new and being young, Sometimes it will identify a raccoon as a cat, or a boat as a building every now and then, but typically it's pretty good. Now, one of the things we can do is we can specifically train an identifier to identify specific models of something. In other words, you don't care between a moose and a fish. What you care about is this a model 971 chair, or a model 918 chair, or a 767 chair? A custom visualizer or categorizer will do that for you once it's been trained to identify the differences between a particular piece of equipment. Will be able to tell you based on a single photograph that this is a 971 and that's an 872, and this other one's a 1612. It can do that for literally anything, from bullets to chairs to keyboards to mice, you name it. Very, very useful in a field service situation, very useful in a retail situation, very useful in any kind of a situation where people need to know something about something. So I promised you'd be able to do this, and you will if you do this. Just text hello to 786-481-0613, and you can try this out for yourself. You can take pictures of anything at the house you want to: a mouse, a keyboard, your cat, a phone, yourself, and our visual AI will try to identify that item for you and send it back to your bot, which you will have on your phone. Okay, I'm going to pop out of this, and I'm going to hand it back to Mr. James. Mr. James, it is all yours, my friend.
Great, thanks, Ty. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about some quick next steps and sum this up a little bit and then open it up for questions. So I think some of the key takeaways is, the first one is that bots are really here. Like, we all interact with bots on a daily basis. You guys know the experience. You go to a website and you have a little chat bot that pops up and wants to try to sell you something, right? But they are really becoming more accessible for all sizes of business. They're getting very, very easy to implement, even if you don't have a coding background or anything like that. We're talking building bots via drag and drop and deploying them. So it's really starting to become accessible to the masses. And organizations are making them a strategic initiative. 54% of IT organizations last year said that they plan on implementing bots in their organization in some way, shape, or form. And the second point is that it can really supercharge your use of QuickBase. And what we mean by that is get people that normally couldn't or wouldn't adopt QuickBase that are out in the field communicating with you and getting you the information that you need in real time. It doesn't have to be out in the field. We talked a lot about that, but it could be customers on your website that are starting asking questions about your products that maybe you want to throw into a CRM and QuickBase or a sales management process. So there's really a lot of stuff you can do. So if you want to learn more, and again, we'll go over some questions, but if you want to learn more, you can always email us at sales@veilsun.com or call us directly at the phone number there, or you can also visit our website. We do have a page up there about bots and a couple of blogs, and I think even a case study. So you can learn more about how people are using them with QuickBase. So from there, we will open it up to see if there are any questions or anything else that we can answer for anybody on the call.
Great. Thanks again, James and Ty, for a wonderful presentation. We are going to go ahead and move into Q&A at this time. So as a reminder, you have a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. If you want to click on that button and ask a question, please do so now. And we will read those aloud and the guys can answer them for you. So I do have a few questions in already, so keep them coming. The first one is, can I create bots where the user gives free-form responses to a bot and it provides content back based on that?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Erica. The answer is yes. That's a little different type of AI. What we showed you today was visual AI. That's more something that's called NLP, natural language processing. What that would do is you would type free-form text into your bot, just as Erica said. The bot would then submit that to an NLP engine, and the NLP engine would come up with a response based on the actual content or intent of that message that you typed in the bot, and it would send you back a response that was appropriate to that message. So the answer is yes. That's a very, very common use case.
Great. Okay, we have another one. How do you use AI with bots?
That's a really big question. AI really exists in many forms. We showed you visual AI. I talked just a little bit about NLP. There are other types of AI that are analysis kinds of AI, where you can enter information into a bot, send it to AI, and the AI will model that information and send it back to you. So there's really no limit to what you can do using a chat bot as a front end, using AI, and then using something like QuickBase in the middle to be sort of the traffic cop, to be the hub for all of the other technology spokes. There's really just no limit to what you can do, and if you can think about doing it, it can be done using those three tools.
All right, thanks for that. And one other question I have, remember, you still have the opportunity to ask questions via the Q&A tab at the bottom. Do you have any construction use cases that you've seen?
I'll let James answer that one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I could think of it. Several of the ones that we showed are a little bit construction-y, I would say, with the trucking. But then, other use cases that we're seeing is a lot around safety management. So you have a job site and you have an inspector that goes out onto that job site from time to time. And they do a variety of things, like they will inspect certain parts of the job site. They'll take pictures of things. And so that they can get back into QuickBase where they see potential deficiencies, and bots tend to be really helpful with that. They can kind of walk them through the process to make sure they're capturing every piece of information and communicating that back to a safety app in QuickBase, while at the same time capturing photos on their phone as they're going through that process. This is not one that we've done here, but we know that we've done some discovery around it, and it's a really cool use case where you can actually use a bot with artificial intelligence to take a picture of a job site, and it could, if it's trained correctly, it could actually tell you if there's certain things missing on the job site that are supposed to be there, which could cause a safety concern, which is really kind of new tech and really interesting. So I think there are a lot of construction use cases.
Wonderful. We have one other question. Thanks to Peggy Harris, one of our clients at Redboard Circuits. She's asking, can I use bots to help my suppliers in China with how to use our system? We have PowerPoints, but our site is so complicated it's hard to teach.
Ty,
Yeah.
I'm going to bounce that one to you because you showed an example that might be.
Oh yeah, that's a great use case for bots. One of the things you can do with a bot is you can snap pictures of situations. You can take this is one I've seen done before. in a McDonald's. You take a picture of a fryer, and somebody who's new at McDonald's can pull up this bot and ask, how do I safely clean this fryer? And it can walk them through the steps on how to clean that fryer, or how to empty a refrigerator and clean it, or any number of those kinds of things that you've got to be able to know how to do in a McDonald's. You can also build training sequences that people enter into and complete using a bot that walks them through these situational things as a training exercise as well, and ask questions at the end. So there's really, if you can think of the content and you can deliver the content visually, you can do it in a bot. You can do it using video, you can do it using PDFs, you can do it using text, you can do it using images. There's just really no end to the way that you can deliver information to that point of consumption instantaneously using a bot and QuickBase.
Ty, one thing that came to mind too is if it's actually helping somebody walk through and like understand a QuickBase app, could you have like that little chat window like you had at the bottom in that example you showed, and if they're on a certain form in QuickBase, they click on it and maybe it displays different content depending on where they're at. Like, this is how you fill out this form, you know, or stuff like that. So it's really contextual with where you're at in QuickBase.
It can be what I call semi-contextual. You can configure a little different entry place for each bot. In other words, there's one big bot flow, and there are different places where you enter that bot flow, and you can configure that bot that shows up at the bottom of the screen to enter a bot flow on that at that particular place based on where it is on the screen. So yeah, the answer is yes. Takes a little bit of finagling, but you can do it based on today's technology.
Great. Peggy, thanks again for that question. And make sure to talk with Ben, and he can definitely help you out with that, or we can set up a separate session. So thanks again to everyone. I don't see any other questions coming in at this point. So we will go ahead and wrap up for today. Thanks again for joining us for Leveraging AI and Bots. You will be receiving a follow-up email with links to the on-demand version of the presentation. If you have any other questions, as James said, make sure to email us at sales@veilsun.com or give us a call. And we'll look forward to having you in one of our next sessions. I'm sure you'll be getting another email about other webinars coming soon. Thanks and have a great day.